traveling in slow motion towards Ron. And as soon as it hits Ron, it was like the Incredible Hulk. He turned green.
The NBA is about to hit the All-Star break, which means that there's going to be a break in the games, and usually this would mean that the fans would head to All-Star Weekend and the All-Star Game in order to go and cheer on their favorite players as they have fun and do special competitions. But as you already know, most NBA stadiums don't have in-person crowds in any large capacity due to the ongoing global pandemic. That being said, there is a logic behind keeping them away at times because they've been known to get a bit too rowdy. Allow us to show you the times that NBA fans went too far. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 5, the slur against Russell Westbrook.
A man and his wife in the stands told me to get down on my knees like he used to. And for me, that's just completely disrespectful.
Russell Westbrook is without a doubt one of the best players in the NBA today. His skills are undeniable, but at times, his attitude and non-caring feelings on things have led to fans jawing at him to try and get under his skin. Perfectly fine, up to a point. During a game against the Utah Jazz, he was caught on video jawing against some fans and saying he was going to F them up. So you'd think that this was Russell losing his cool and being mean to fans, right? But when Russell was asked about it afterwards, he noted that a husband and wife in the crowd next to him said that he should get down on his knees like he used to, which is a reference to slavery. Not only is this a party foul in the absolute worst way, it is disgusting that they would have ever even thought of saying that to Westbrook, regardless of his team's affiliation. This event is even more important now because of the protests that have gone on over the last year with Black Lives Matter, and more where equality and the need to fight racism is more prevalent than ever. The fans who made those comments were banned from the arena permanently after an investigation proved that they did what Westbrook said they did, and those fans should be ashamed to have done such an act. Number 4, Kristaps Porzingis.
Porzingis, sorry about that on draft night, but we're behind you 100% now. You go, guy.
Kristaps Porzingis was drafted by the New York Knicks in order to help rebirth their franchise and make it prominent again. He did do that for a time, but then some injuries and trouble behind the scenes made it so that he wanted to get out of New York as soon as possible. He would eventually be brought to the Dallas Mavericks, where he now teams with future megastar Luka Doncic. When he had his return game to the Knicks, you wouldn't have been surprised to hear that he was booed royally by the crowd. But what made it so that they crossed the line was that they continued to boo him every single time that he touched the ball. Now that is rather unfair to Porzingis because he did everything he had to for the Knicks for those first 2 years. It was the culture behind the scenes that made him leave, not the fans. He even noted after the game that he was understanding about why they booed him because they were hungry for success in basketball. New York is known for having some rowdy fans, but there are times that they push it, as you can see. Number 3, Joakim Noah.
Yeah, I would call that not keeping you cool, not being very zen.
Joakim Noah has been a role player for many NBA teams, including being an important part of the Chicago Bulls during the Derrick Rose years. But what is he really known for is his ability to trash talk. He'll go after anyone and not blink, as it was fun to watch over the years. As such, during one contest with the Miami Heat in the playoffs, Noah started doing his trash talk, when even eventually he got ejected from the game. But what makes this an entry on this list was that Noah was going to the locker room. A woman reached out from her place in the stands and gave him the middle finger that was almost literally touching him. Naturally, the picture went viral and it became a meme. So what makes this a too far moment? Simple. When a player is ejected, you should cheer if they're not part of your team. But the middle finger? That's just too much. Even Dwayne Wade after the game asked his fans to stay classy, Miami. Ironically, the person who did the middle finger is apparently a nice woman. Her friend got her tickets to the game and the friend noted she just got caught up in the moment. Well, now that may be true, but she still crossed the line, and her punishment for that is being put on a meme for all of eternity, because the internet never forgets. Number 2, Malice in the Palace.
Ron sitting there calming down. His first question to me, do you think we're going to get in trouble?
The Malice in the Palace is an infamous NBA event and one that has equal blame on both the NBA players and the NBA fans. This happened in 2004 in a game between the Detroit Pistons and the Indianapolis Pacers. Players Ben Wallace from Detroit and Ron Artest from the Pacers got into a heated shoving match that cleared the benches. Adding fuel to the combustible situation, a fan threw a drink at Artest, and Artest reacted by going up into the stands and fighting with the fans, which prompted even more violence after that. After the game, the NBA suspended 9 players for a total of 146 games. 5 players were charged with assault and eventually sentenced to a year of probation and community service. 5 fans also faced criminal charges and were banned from attending Pistons home games for life. The fight also led the NBA to increase security between players and fans and limit the sale of alcohol in games. This scene was one that the NBA doesn't like to recall, and for all the right reasons. This event hurt the integrity of the game, the league, and more. It was an act that showed the NBA cannot control their players or their fans. While improvements have been made, the Malice in the Palace will indeed forever be one of the most embarrassing things in NBA history, and part of it indeed was because of the fans who escalated the situation. Could they really not see that they were going to bring even more pain and destruction to the proceedings? Were they really itching for a fight? Well, it's hard to say, but you have to be a fool to think that throwing a drink at a player won't result in consequences of some kind. As of this video, no such event has ever happened again in the NBA, and if we're lucky, it will never happen again because the NBA and sports as a whole shouldn't have to go through something like this. Number 1, LeBron James.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat.
When LeBron James came to the NBA, it was very fair and even logical to say that he was going to change the game. He was supposed to be the next Michael Jordan and lead a loser team to victory in the Cleveland Cavaliers, much like MJ did for the Bulls in the 80s and 90s. Now, for the first 7 years, LeBron James did everything he could to get the Cleveland Cavaliers to a victory. He even got them to the NBA Finals through strength of will, but got swept by the Spurs. After years of frustration, King James decided it was time for a change. So in one of the most reviled and controversial things to ever be put on TV, LeBron James and ESPN made the decision. The decision that he would make would be to take my talents to South Beach and play for the Miami Heat. Now, to the sports world at large, this made sense. He knew that Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh were waiting for him in Miami, and with that team, headed up in the front office by legend Pat Riley, he knew he could win championships. And not so ironically, he did win 2 amidst 4 finals appearances. But for the fans of Cleveland, it was a different matter entirely. Both on the night of the decision and many more nights to come, they showed their pain and frustrations that LeBron, who was born and raised in Ohio, would abandon them and go to Miami. On that first night, they literally rioted in the streets. They went and burned down LeBron James's jerseys, they destroyed murals that were made in his honor, and much more. Then when he finally returned to Cleveland in the next season, they not only booed him, they not only brought signs saying that he was a traitor, they were literally throwing things at him and the other members of the Heat, including but not limited to batteries. Now, the hate for LeBron during the Miami years was understandable in many ways, but to go that far in their hate is something else entirely. The irony of the situation, of course, is that after 4 years with the Heat, LeBron did indeed come back to Cleveland, and he did finally win them a title before leaving for the Lakers. Now, in many ways, this was a Greek tragedy of a story, and one that only grew in intensity because of how the fans reacted to LeBron leaving the first time. So what do you think? What do you think of this quintet of times when fans absolutely went and crossed the line and disrespected NBA players, the game, the league, and other fans? Which of these times did you personally watch unfold from your home and wonder, what were they thinking? Are you surprised by the malicious intent of some of these fans? Do you know of any other times that maybe they went too far? Let us know in the comments below, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.